Chapter 9 Growth. Introduction. Growth phases is serious changes in life of an organism from zygote to adult, which involves two major processes: growth and development. Growth is any irreversible and permanent increase in quantitative parameters that can be measured, such as size, length, volume, height, number of cells, gram mass, cell mass, surface area. Development means any qualitative change and involves cell differentiation, shape, specificity, complexity, and you can see here from the combination of a sperm and an egg you form a zygote, and zygote is just one cell, but from that cell it can give rise to many other types of cells, so it develops. Growth in unicellular organisms is controlled by the size of each cytoplasm that is controlled by the nucleus. When it achieves a certain size, it divides to produce two daughter cells of a smaller size. Cell division is followed by the growth of two daughter cells until they achieve the size of mature unicellular organism. So this involves size and cytoplasmic mass. Growth in unicellular organisms. They reproduce sexually through binary fission for population growth to take place. So differentiation is very limited. So in unicellular organisms, repeated division will produce new daughter cells of smaller size, and they have limited growth, so they can grow as large as the parent cell and have limited differentiation. In multicellular organisms, they increase in size, height, weight, and the number of cells. Changes in appearance and physical characteristic, and they develop the capacity and function of the organism. There are three phases: cell division, cell enlargement, and cell differentiation. Cell division is the basic process of growth. Mitotic cell division in all somatic cells, and through mitosis the number of cells increase. It gives the world an opportunity to increase the size of organisms. Rate of division depends on cell types, the species, and other conditions, which is physical or chemical. Cell enlargement, it is the increase of the cell size and volume, involving increase in cytoplasmic content and the number of organelles. Plants, cells grow by adding organic material to the cytoplasm, or additional water into the large central vacuole accounts for 90% of the plant cell's expansion. Cell enlargement continued. Animals, cells grow by synthesizing a protein-rich cytoplasm, which is a metabolically expensive process. In cell enlargement, each cell will grow to the limit, which is the ability of cell nucleus to support the increase in cytoplasmic volume. Cell divides before it reaches the limit. Phase 3. Cell differentiation. Cell undergoes change in form in order to form specialized functions, same set of genetic information to produce diversity in cell types. The adult cell divides repeatedly, resulting in a group of cells. The cells start to differentiate from each other in structure and chemical composition. For example, red blood cells. In embryonic cells, in the cells destined to be in the blood tissue, there is increase in the amount of hemoglobin molecules and carbonic anhydrase, and disappearance of the nucleus. All of these to enhance the ability for transportation of O2 and CO2. Example number 2. Meristematic vascular cells. The meristematic cells differentiate into xylem, transportation for water and minerals, and phloem, transportation of products of photosynthesis and hormones. The influence factors for the growth will be extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic factors in plants: light intensity, duration of light period, temperature, humidity, water, salt, and minerals. In animals, nutrients and oxygen. Intrinsic factors in plants, we have plant hormones such as phytohormones, oxygen, gibberellins, and serotonins. In animals, hormone secretion of glands for example, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid gonads, to promote or inhibit growth in animals. Growth patterns. Number one is sigmoid growth curves. Organisms that have sigmoid growth curve are individual organisms or large cells of multicellular plants and animals. In terms of growth patterns, sigmoid growth curve can also be found in the population growth curves of yeast and bacteria, which are microorganisms. So, sigmoid growth curves looks like as you have a lag phase, which is a little bit slow in the beginning, and then you have a fast phase called exponential growth, meaning that the growth will be high in a very short time, and then it will slow down, the deceleration, and then at the end you have stable equilibrium phase where you will not grow higher than that level. The patterns. The patterns of growth vary from species to species. The patterns of growth in living bicellular organisms are human growth curve. You have allometric versus asymmetric, limited versus unlimited, and then you have intermittent growth curves, which humans do not exhibit. So this is the human growth curve. In humans, the growth curve after birth appears to consist of two sigmoid curves with two main rapid growth phases, which is infant and adolescent. A slower growth phase is known as a childhood phase, can be found in between these two rapid growth phases. As you can see, from C to D, it is the first sigmoid, and then you have the childhood years, which is slow, and then you have the teenage growth spurt or adolescent growth spurt, then adulthood. So in beginning you have the infant phase, childhood phase, adolescent phase, and adulthood. So human growth curve, you have prenatal and postnatal. Prenatal growth, it is the growth before being born. Postnatal growth, it is the growth after being born. For prenatal growth, you have the fetal growth from 8 to 40 weeks. In embryos, brain and head will both start growth and development together in the early phase of life, while the complete development of hands and feet only occurs in the later phase. So after birth, this is the growth curve. You have the infant phase, and then the childhood phase, and then the adolescent, adult, and aging phase. Infant phase will have a very rapid growth rate, irrespective in both male and female babies. Childhood phase, the growth rate is slower, beginning at the age of 4. The rate is slightly higher in boys than in girls. Adolescent phase, growth rate is rapid. In the earlier part of this growth phase, females demonstrate a more rapid growth rate, which is 2 years earlier than it begins in males. At the later part of this growth phase, the male growth rate becomes higher than the female growth rate. This difference results in females attaining puberty at the earlier age compared to males. Females attain puberty around the age of 12, while males attain puberty when they are about 14 years old. In adulthood, growth rate is 0. Most individuals would have attained maturity. Males achieve this phase at the age of about 18, while females at the age around 16. In the aging phase, growth rate is negative. The body proportion will start to decrease starting from the age of 30. So this is the human growth curves. In birth, and then rapid growth and the slow growth again. Then you have very rapid growth. In adulthood you have minimal growth, and in old age you have negative growth. In other organisms, you have the limited growth curves. So the growth of an organism would go until a maximum fixed size. So at this point they will start die off. So they have a relatively short lifespan. So growth is complete when the organism achieves its maximum size and then demonstrates the negative growth or senescence. So it is a single sigmoid growth shape. Most plants and animals, including humans, would have these limited growth curves. So this is an example of a plant with limited growth curves, such as Pisum sativum or pea plants. So in the beginning, it will lose some weight due to respiration of stored food in the seed, but after it grows, it will start to create its own food using photosynthesis, and then it becomes taller and taller. Then it becomes heavier and heavier. But after the week 18, it will lose weight some because it would disperse the seeds, and then it will start senescence, and then at day 22 it dies. In annual plants, the seed-model growth curve or dry mass versus time shows a small reduction in dry mass in the initial part of growth due to germination. So they become lighter because the food that is in the seeds are used up before the first leaves undergo photosynthesis. This loss of mass is later replaced when the first leaf develop and start photosynthesis. Later, the growth rate is very rapid until it becomes constant at a later stage. This rapid growth rate is maintained until the plant achieves maturity, after which the rate gradually reduces until it becomes zero. Unlimited growth curves. It refers to non-stop growth over a relatively long lifespan. Examples of organisms that demonstrate unlimited growth would be Obelia colonies, coral reefs, and multiple season woody trees. So the growth curve of unlimited growth comprises a series of small sigmoid curves. These above curves show that there is an increase in mass and size every season. In plants that demonstrate unlimited growth, there is no fixed rate and the growth continues until enemies, natural catastrophe or diseases cause destructive effects on them. So this is the perennial plant's unlimited growth curve. So it will become taller and taller every year until the 8th year, and then suddenly that is gone. Probably it has been felled down or it has been struck by lightning, so it dies. For multiple season woody trees, it starts with branching, and then the branches grow longer, the canopy enlarges, and then eventually it will die due to logging, disease and other factors. Now for allometric growth. Allo, it is Greek for different. It is the growth of an organism within which different organs grow at different rates from each other and from the overall growth. It involves the change in size and external shape of features in the organism. So as you can see, between humans and chimpanzees. So a chimpanzee features a skull and a human features a skull look similar, but as they become adults, different parts would develop faster than the other parts, so it is imbalanced. For chimpanzee adults, the jaw has the most growth, but for humans, the part that has the most growth is the jaw, but it's not really much growth happening there, so the growth is not really big compared to the whole skull. Growth patterns. So it shows the correlation between the growth and development of the organism. For example, in mammals, the growth rate of hepatic and hepatic tissues are different, and both tissues are highest at different stages of development. The mammalian lymphatic tissues grows rapidly during the early childhood days, but during adolescence it is slow. Why? Mammalian reproductive tissues grows faster during the stage of adolescence. Why? It is because lymphatic tissues are required by a young individual to give it natural immunity and defense against disease. This function is less needed during the adult phase. The reproductive system only starts to grow and develop during the adolescent phase. Similarly, in embryos, the brain and the head will both start growth and development together in the early phase of life, while the complete development of hands and feet only occurs in the later phase. This is the allometric growth in humans. So the head will grow first and then it will reach the peak early. The body organs would have a lag in growth until the age of 15, it starts to grow fast. And then lymphatic tissue, it grows fast near the age of 10 and then it goes down again. So as you can see, these are the growth patterns of a human before birth and after birth. Isometric growth. It is the growth of an organism within the organs grow at the same rates with the other part of the body. The relative size of the organs is constant, meaning the size of the organs increase but the external features remain the same. For example, fish, grasshoppers and cockroaches. If we look at this fish, the only difference between the top and the bottom are the size. Other than that, the features are largely the same. The shape are largely the same. So the growth can be said as isometric. For example, in grasshoppers, the growth rate of all parts of the body occurs at the same rate as the overall growth of the grasshopper's body. So we have the first nymph instar, second nymph instar, and they have third, fourth and adult. So as you can see, the proportions are mainly the same. It's just that during the fourth nymph instar, they start to grow wings. For cucumber leaves, actual growth of leaf, it is the same as the relative growth curve of the plant as a whole. So meaning that a small cucumber plant would have a small leaf, and as they grow older, the leaves would also become bigger, as big as the tree's pace growth. Intermittent growth curve. It is a discontinuous growth which occurs in insects and other arthropods metamorphosis. Growth is limited by the hard exoskeleton during certain periods until the ecdysis or molting process takes place. Then, growth occurs at very suddenly at a rapid pace or rate of movement. It produces a step-like intermittent growth curve. Each stage in between ecdysis is known as instar. So as you can see, in this growth curve, the mass suddenly increases during every molt or during every ecdysis. Ecdysis is known as molting, a process of changing the old exoskeleton of arthropods replaced with a new soft layer and later becomes hardened again. It occurs periodically to allow growth and development. During ecdysis, arthropod breathes in a lot of air. The body expands and breaks the old exoskeletons. When the old exoskeleton is removed, arthropod will once again breathe more air to increase size before the newly formed layer of chitinous exoskeleton will harden. This is a arthropod growth curve of a water boatman or Notonecta glauca. As you can see, there are 5 instances of ecdysis or molting. During that molting, you can see that the mass suddenly becomes higher. Metamorphosis. Definition: it is process of changing in shape which occur from one stage to the following stage in animals or insects. There are 2 types, complete and incomplete. Complete metamorphosis occur in holometabolic insects such as housefly or butterfly. Incomplete metamorphosis occur in hemimetabolic insects such as cockroach or grasshopper. For complete metamorphosis, it needs to have 4 stages: eggs, larvae, pupae, and imago or adult. For incomplete metamorphosis, we have the egg, the nymph, and then a bigger nymph, and then the imago. Growth under extreme conditions. Dormancy. Dormancy occurs in animals and plants at certain intervals temporarily during their life cycles. It is during which growth slows or stops because of the extremely low metabolic rate. It is a resting stage. It can occur in the adult, egg, pupa, spore, or seed stage. Purposes: so that organisms can be able to survive in unfavorable conditions due to insufficient food supply, cold weather, winter, hot or dry weather, drought. It is controlled by hormones that respond to physiological stress in plants and animals and affects the behavior in animals. Seed dormancy. It is a phenomenon in certain seeds in which they would not germinate if not given an optimal condition, such as water, oxygen, or optimal temperature. It can be seen in seeds such as legumes, buds, spore, and food storage organs such as tubers. Seed dormancy. It is due to the structure of seed coat. Basic cuticles, subarachnoid layer, which is cuticle-like layer, and lymphoid sclerites, which are impermeable to water. It prevents imbibition or passive uptake of water. The hard lignified seed coat, which are too strong to allow penetration of radicle out of seeds, so they will not grow. Due to many factors include lack of oxygen, dryness, presence of substances that inhibit germination. Some seeds will not germinate. They must undergo certain internal changes to ensure that premature germination does not occur. Special mechanisms they needed to ensure germination does not occur before time involves the tessa or rocket, which is impervious, impossible to penetrate to water. Also the presence of ABA or abscisic acid that acts as an inhibitor. In order to break the dormancy, solidification or softening or injury of seed coat have to occur. Chemical reaction in animals' digestive tract or by physical aberration in order to move seed coat can cause dormancy to be broken. Dormancy in animal. Hibernation. It occurs during winter or cold weather. It is a state of inactivity, which is they do not consume much energy, which are characterized by lower body temperature, lower metabolic rate, decreased heart rate, expiration, and low growth and development. It is to conserve the food stored because of food scarcity and deficiency. Hibernation. In preparation of hibernating, animals store food as body fat or brown fat, which is utilized during winter. Pregnant polar bears hibernate in ice dens similar to igloo, and they sleep straight through winter. For example, polar bear or white bear. Other male and non-pregnant polar bears do not sleep straight through winter. They wake up once in a while, walk around, and eat before they go back to sleep. Others, small mammals in rodents, ground squirrels, and hamsters, all of these do hibernation. Some store up food in their nest and feed on them if they wake up when the temperature rises. Now for aestivation. Aestivation or summer sleep, it is a seasonal dormancy, similar to hibernation but during hot weather. Increased temperature and lack of water during drought will cause these to trigger, for example lungfish, Protopterus, and Lepidosiren in Africa and South America. During aestivation, they bury themselves in the mud formed at the surface of the dried up lake. They can continue to live even when the lake has become dry. So it is due to mucus secreted at the mouth to allow air to enter its lungs. They will become inactive, having low metabolism and slow breathing and heart rate until the water source is back to normal. In addition, salt, fat, and some of the muscle tissue in the bodies of the animal will be lost during aestivation period. Diapause. Diapause occur in insects, usually during winter when the temperature is low and there is no food and water. It is an insect resting state during which all development processes will be temporarily blocked at any stage of its life. Insect diapause is caused by the deficiency of certain hormones from the brain. The secretion of these hormones are controlled by external stimuli such as drought and long days. The hormone secretion depends on the period of exposure to light. So we can say that it behaves in a photoperiodic manner similar to process in plants. When the light period drops below a certain critical level, diapause is initiated. Diapause can be overcome when the light period increases until it exceeds the critical light period. Some insects require a low temperature in order to be released from diapause. For example, some butterflies and moths, diapause occur in larval stage. While cabbage butterfly happens during pupae stage. Colorado potato beetle, diapause occur during adults instead. As you can see here, this is a butterfly called Operoptera brumata. So the eggs diapause during winter. So during winter, the eggs will never hatch until it is spring again. This one is a sea minax. is a certain beetle. So in the following stages, you can see A, B, C, D, E. Okay, at E, what will happen? It will actually stop growing until October. So it actually slept for 6 months due to the pause. Okay, and so as you can see, the pupa is where the transition stage between larval and adult. So in F, you can see that the base of the mantle is stuck to a tree, and then it has the eggshell. So if you cut it out, you find out that they are inside sleeping. The end.